Hey everybody, you already know what time it is. It is time for 5v5 once again. I do enjoy 3v3 a little bit, but I probably enjoy it for about 2 weeks. And then after that, I'm ready to get back to 5v5. But like everybody, I have to refamiliarize myself with what comps I want to do, what I want to switch up in a 5v5 season. And everyone is different. A lot of in big part because of Datacrons, but also because of new characters. So we got a few changes in store, a lot different from last 5v5, what teams you're going to want to keep on offense, defense, flex, or both. But yeah, just sit back, hope you learn something, and hope this helps you prepare for next season. And as usual, we are starting with our attack squads, and there are more than normal. Usually I have more in the flex squads, but I think this time I did a lot more offense-only teams. These are teams that you probably don't want to set on defense because there's a very glaring weakness to them, or just because they're so good and so efficient on offense, or if it's a team you want to really pick and choose where to use it. So Java is on offense only for me, and this is the first time ever. Maybe I didn't do this type of video the same way back when Afra had her Datacron before. But Java is super weak to Afra with her current Datacron, and he's also able to crush Leia. So those are two compelling reasons to only keep him on offense. The only time I would say put him on defense is if you know your opponent doesn't have the Afra Datacron or something, or you know you can trick them into wasting their Afra on the front wall and have a surprise Java in the back. That could work. So Java does have his own strong Datacron. That's great for taking on Leia, but Leia might also not be the best on defense because she's so vulnerable to Java. So the mental math really kind of switches around a bit. For Java, you know, Embo is better than Boba in a lot of ways. I do love Boba actually on offense because the ability blocks are great to control, and the rocket to the face just demolishes people after a while. So it's great either with Boba or Embo if you have at least the Zeta. Afra, you want to use only droids, so you don't want to use Darth Vader if you have that Datacron because you want to generate as many bonus turns as possible. You want to at least have one of either B2 or Imperial Probe Droid because you want to be able to keep buffs off of Jabba. I don't know how well they do with just these three, and if it was like IG-88 or HK-47 or something, but these two, Probe Droid and Battle Droid, can strip buffs and keep them off, which is really important to get rid of that hired muscle so you can crit the enemy and just keep them in control. A lot safer in 5v5 as opposed to 3v3. Then Supreme Leader Kylo Ren, there's a couple things you could do with him. You could run him with a standard First Order team. You might not want to use Kylo Ren on Mass. Kylo Ren on Mass could go with a Seer team with Malicos or something else. So you might want to just run Stormtrooper there and then Sith Trooper here. Or just solo with him. I'm hoping for a good solo opportunity, like if I see Traya or something and I don't need Supreme Leader Kylo Ren, it might be a great opportunity for more banners. If you don't have a Jabba or a compelling Jabba-Cron or a way to count, or a super high protection Datacron for to use with JML, this is a possibility to beat Leia. We really want armor in there. That's a key component. I put Geobrute Alpha in here instead of Watt because I think it's more important to get someone to fall under half health early than it is to have Kylo recover a little bit of protection and avoid debuffs. You really just want the 3 stacks of Beskar, and then you're going to be fine. But make sure you have the stacking defense Datacron if possible. Geonosian Brute Alpha is great because the Brute has very low protection and it will easily fall under half health and it won't be a big detriment. You can just bring it back. You also have another tank. And then Thrawn, try to have Thrawn a little bit slower than Armor so he can pass the turn back to Armor to give off the Beskar if need be. Next, we got our Jedi splits. And for right now, I'm going to recommend most people don't try JML versus Leia still. It can work, and I've definitely made it work with Jedi Cal and Mace Windu up on this team instead of Shock and Hoda. But I have a plus 80% protection Datacron, so it's a little more dicey, and Jabba is very much not dicey. You just try to kill Drogon early with thermals and then go all in on Leia. You can even auto it, so that's a much safer option. Instead, I prefer to use JML with this is kind of a classic lineup: Jedi Knight Luke, Shock T, Jedi Revan, and Hoda to beat Lord Vader teams, and it's pretty safe. And this is a anti-high defense comp too, because their stacking defense doesn't do anything against the Jedi Lessons special ability. Shock is an extra cleanse. JML, his ultimate is a cleanse. Giant Revan has a cleanse. Oda has a single target cleanse, and then Luke is there just for general damage, tankiness, stuns, control. Just a very good counter. So I recommend you try it out if you come up against Lord Vader's. The other Jedi, Bastila lead with Jedi Cal, because we have 3 of her normal Jedi leaders up with JML for Lord Vader counter. Bastila can take on Malgus with his team. I think Mace is good here. It really helps in the end to reduce defense if you have a really tough, because you got to use your insta-kill on Malgus, and then Mace can help with Shatterpoint, whittle down Malak or something. Joel to keep him alive, Yoda, because you might not have another place to use him. Next, Sith Eternal Emperor. I think you pretty solidly want to keep him on offense with just probably Watt. Maybe Armor will be available, and both of them together are pretty nice. You could also pair them with Night Sisters, or just a couple burner Sith to keep him alive. You can take on a variety of things, but that's not really anything new. And then Lord Vader, if you're going on offense with him and you don't want to use Maul because you want to use Maul with Darkside Mandalorians and maybe Dark Trooper Moff Gideon, you can put Thrawn with him, Royal Guard, Piet maybe, Night Sister, or Darth Vader here. I think Darth Vader would be a suitable substitute for Piet, especially on offense. This actually could work on defense too. It's a little bit more resilient to Phoenix. The new Bo-Katan does counter Lord Vader pretty hard, but not many players have that, so it's not a big worry for everybody. I'm not exactly sure what you're going to want to counter with the Mandalorian team, or the Maul team. I'm sure with Dark Trooper Moff Gideon, it will be better. However, I might just still be using Maul with Lord Vader because I don't need too many teams. Next up, we got Phoenix, and this I test ran last season, and it worked very well, putting L337 in instead of Kanan when facing Reva. So Phoenix has like an 80-some% win percentage when you have a full Phoenix team against Reva, but you're playing Russian roulette. You have like a 1 in 5 chance that they're going to put Torture on Captain Rex, and then you're mostly dead in the water. The only way out of that situation is if you put the backup plan on Rex, then they kill him, and he comes out and doesn't have Torture on him anymore. Because with Torture, he's not getting any turn meter, and you really need him to keep taking turns to cycle around to really get somewhere. We don't have Phoenix Datacrons anymore, but it still works more than enough against that team. Armor Shred with Sabine will be very important to whittling down Reva and maybe others. But Kanan is usually the best case scenario to get Torture on, so put L337 in there as a pre-taunt. Really, any pre-taunting tank would work, but she's probably the best one. And then you're going to be... She also can protect Chopper if Chopper gets weak too, so that's really nice. So that's an easy win against Reva. And then Bad Batch, pretty simple. I mean, use it for a lot of stuff. It's like there's certain things it's a go-to counter for. Maybe it's going to be run circles around Dark Trooper Moff Gideon, not sure, but just a classic offense-only team. You don't need Omega. You can have Cody in here. You got it from the JMK Farm or Shock T or something. But yeah, definitely offense. And next we got Imperial Remnant team with Dark Trooper Moff Gideon lead. This is assuming you have him, which everyone doesn't. It's a few thousand have him. This is mainly because he's really weak to Radis on defense. So we have yet to see what he can pull off on offense. I've been relicking up my Imperial Remnant. I even gave Stormtrooper the Zeta, finished all these Zetas. Took Moff Gideon to RA. That's mainly for the raid. And he's just kind of a solid character. But I'm excited to see what they can do. Not quite sure what they'll pull off. If you don't have Dark Trooper Moff Gideon, definitely want to set Iden with Death Trooper, Scout, and if you're putting defense, Stormtrooper probably on offense. Magma Trooper helps get things going, and Sword Trooper is a pretty classic one. But Scout Trooper and Death Trooper need to go with Dark Trooper Moff Gideon if you are running that, and that kind of leaves Iden out in the cold. So this would be without Dark Trooper Moff Gideon. Then Radis, it is just such an invaluable counter to Empire teams right now. Can beat Reva, although I prefer Phoenix. Dark Trooper Moff Gideon at manhandles. I'm not sure how it will fare against Tuskens in 5v5. It's definitely better than in 3v3 against the constant revives from Tusken Raider. So we'll see, but it's a super valuable team. Baze Malbus is, in my mind, absolutely the best tank, but he's got a lot of competing interests. Leia wants him. Saw Gerrera wants him. So if you're taking on something like lower tier with you could use Scareful Pathfinder or Cat or K2SO or something. But this is a fantastic team on offense. On defense, not really going to get much value. Bounty Hunters, pretty clear offensive only team. They get wrecked by Bad Batch on defense and a lot of other cheap stuff. You want Bosk and Grief to go like one after the other. So Bosk have like one speed faster than Grief. I like Zam as the 5th if you have the Omicron to speed up the team. However, if you're trying to take on a Lord Vader, which I wouldn't totally recommend if it has Maul, you need Fennec lead and then Beskar Mando in the 5th to protect people and you can't use Zam. But if you're doing like a cleanup or something, Zam, easy pick. And for anything else, Zam, just no-brainer. Wampa, we'll see how we can use him. General Grievous can take out some other stuff. Iron teams, if they don't have super high, like the defense to offense, Datacron in a perfect setup. So yeah, it just depends. But no way you're ever going to use them on defense. Because you can't underman defensive teams. Or set less than 5. Imperial Troopers, just the OG team. You don't have Moff if you're running Beskar Gideon. You can sub in Stark or something, which Stark sometimes even helps more than Moff Gideon. In that case, you probably want Piet faster than normal. Because for me, Moff Gideon gets the train going. So you could sub in Stark here. But range, definitely. Dark Trooper, definitely. Admiral Piet, definitely. I do like the protection up level 3. And you might say, oh, you're missing out a lot on those buffs. Well, the main damage is Dark Trooper. He doesn't care about crit damage or crit chance. He only cares about advantage. And if you get the buff level 6, you're still getting offense up and armor penetration, defense penetration up. Which defense penetration up is even better for Dark Trooper than like crit damage would be. And you get offense up a lot anyway. If you kill someone, you'll get it. So you're not giving up too much there. And the protection up gives you a speed boost at the very beginning. So that's why I like to run it. Night Sisters, yeah, they can still beat Jabba. I set a lineup like this just so you can preserve Daka and Zombie for offense with Supreme or Kylo Ren or something maybe, but I do not have a suitable team for it. Asajj Omicron is very helpful. Marin Omicron is mandatory. Tally is good for cleanse, but I'm not an expert on that, so go look up a video from someone else if you want to try that. Gimme is also an option, but again, Beskar Gideon goes with normal Moff Gideon, so who knows. If you want to do this, just have only supports. I probably will not run this personally because I will put Padme with Jedi Master Kenobi and Shakti with Jedi Master Luke and Yoda with Bastila. So I'm not going to run that, but knock yourself out if you so choose. Then First Order, this is for more early game players. This is a great combo. Hux, Sith Trooper, and First Order TIE Pilot or the core. First Order Executioner is a good damage dealer. He does ramp up a little bit, and the First Order Stormtrooper will allow you to keep that valuable unaligned Force user tag on Kylo Ren for a Seer team. Just got a few more left. Mon Mothma, mainly a cleanup team for me. If you're cleaning up Lord Vader, you want Cassian in there. His buff immunity really helps, and healing immunity. Bo-Katan's great. You don't really need Cara Dune here either. We got Pow, Hoth Rebel Scout for the Terminator generation. And then Qui-Gon, definitely fallen off a lot without his set 10 Datacron set up. I still think they can do good stuff on offense, but too vulnerable to like Bad Batch on defense, unless you put like General Kenobi and OG Ahsoka, which, I don't know. I just recently started relicking Plo Koon, so he's a great addition if you have him. The Terminator gain is very nice. And then Ayla here, because Barriss is a good option, better option too, but it just depends. The Geos are pretty much array cleanup for me at this point, but if you're a newer player, they're good on offense or defense. Really just depends. However, I'm not trusting them too much for anything else. I would definitely not set them on defense in Kyber 1 or even 2 probably. But that is all for offense squads. Moving on to defense. This is the shortest list because it's getting harder and harder to find a defensive team that doesn't have a super glaring cheap weakness or something. And if for Galactic Legends, cheap could mean just a very solid high banner Galactic Legend counter. So there's not too much on this. The only Galactic Legend I think I have on the defensive list is Rey. Lord Vader I took off just because he's more vulnerable to Bo-Katan, who's less than 500 people have Bo-Katan, so that's not too many. But if you're a higher Kyber, that is a real concern. Lord Vader is pretty easy counter, and I think Lord Vader, for people like me and others that might have used her against Leia, is freed up to use on Lord Vader. That's a really easy counter. Bounty Hunters, Phoenix sometimes still can do it, although I wouldn't totally recommend it right now. So there's plenty of other stuff, so that's why I'm just keeping Rey. I have been able to destroy Rey with Malicos, but I don't know. It did fail once, especially when Cal was there. So this is an annoying I know I've rambled a lot in this preamble to defense. But Ray, this is a full Ufu team, so you have stacking defense. Cal being there makes this extremely annoying too. They get such high defense. Cal's constantly healing them up, constantly giving them protection up. Really hard to kill them. Downside is you can't run a full Seer team, so just take that as you will. This other lineup, which I prefer, is with Sortie and then Ben solo. I think you want Ben at the end, so he gets VIP, just to hide him to protect Ray better. Jedi training. Ray is pretty easy sitting there, and then either you want to run Barris or L3. I'm probably going to run Barris, because with a high health Ray, it's a really big amount of healing if they don't get shock or healing meter or something. Win rates against Ray have been just completely plummeted. They've like fallen off a cliff with Starkiller, so that is risky. Like, try that at your own peril, if you ask me. But one creative thing that's come from the shuffle around with things is if you're taking Leia on offense, she's super strong. She doesn't exactly need Drogon, so you can put her with other stuff. Beat most anything still, and then Drogon you can put with Commander Luke. Use the Drogon DC. You're gonna get a bonus turn from Han and Drogon, and this makes a team that was previously beatable by several things much harder to deal with. There's not too much data on what actually beats it. I know Trey is fine. Other than that, you might need Galactic Legends or something like Malicos. Gas is probably hard. Like, I don't know, it probably kills Gas. So I don't know. So pretty strong option for defense if you're going to keep Leia for offense. And you don't want it to be massive, massive overkill. Tuskens, pretty clearly a defensive team. I used to have them on offense last season because they didn't have a Datacron, and you have to be really choosy with how you use them. But now with this Datacron juicing them up, there's something to be feared. This Omicron is not active, but they are still really, really annoying. Tons of dots, tons of momentum. If you have Warrior DC, you can have revives on your hands. Chieftain DC, constant assist. It's annoying. Just buckle up. Gas might be fine here. I don't know. Radis might be fine. We just have to see. You can go look at old seasons data on Swigga.gg if you really want to see how the team does, because it's the exact same Datacron. Next up, we got Treya with this full Savage lineup, Talon, Scion. It's super strong on defense. Darkside Galactic Legends are the only super easy counter. Other than that, there's no real easy counter, so I definitely prefer this on defense. People like to get cute and mix up where Savage goes. I don't think it's worth it. I think it's just worth sticking Trey Savage on defense. One of the only Galactic Legends demanding defensive teams. Then Trench, if you put him with Watt, it's actually a pretty solid defensive team. There's only a 4% win rate last season from Wampa, and Wampa's not gonna have an easier time this season either. You could even give them a Scoundrel Datacron because Jango Fett and Newt Gunray are Scoundrels. You could have like Ability Block on there or Blind. Either of those will 100% shut down a Wampa, but they'll probably be shut down anyway. And you know, if you can spare Sith Eternal, you don't need him, or spare Watt from Sith Eternal, you don't need him. Could actually be a decent defensive team. Phoenix beats it pretty nicely though if you have them available. Zori, I still prefer Zori on defense. She is a Scoundrel, so you could use Scoundrel Datacron, like Ability Block, cooldown reduction. Revive Prevention would help shut down like Giant Knight Revan. But this is going to be more wide open for a strong defensive team because people, if they're saving their Afra for Jabba, and it could be kind of an easy, like I don't know, hard choice for people to make. Put this on the front wall, people have to decide whether to burn their Afra or use something else. And if they burn their Afra, it could surprise them with a Jabba on the back. So still a strong team for defense. Getting more to some tier 2 teams on defense. Sortie, I still just throw it in for like people that have all these droids but don't have Leia. If you have Lobot, you probably have Leia, which means you wouldn't want R2 there. You might want L3 or something. Less and less people are going to be using this. I'm not going to use this. I did remember Lobot existed though for this one, so kind of just a filler team. And kind of like bait for Wampa is maybe the best upside to it. Dash, I haven't changed anything on this one. Put him with Hondo. Really floats the boat. Nest is there just as a timeout risk, and that does happen to me plenty often. Especially if people are like taking CLS. Because it's tempting to use CLS on Hondo, get out in front of him, take him down, and then you might get stuck on Nest. So you don't want high tenacity if you're trying to go for that, though. You want her to lose her TM. Next up is Saw, and I don't know. If you could spare good Rebel fighters, he's going to be solid. If you have its Datacron, even better. But use the damage reduction Datacron. Calcaton, Cardoon, definitely. Chirrut if you have him. The base Malbus, he's a really popular guy. But if you can't spare him, don't have a particular plan, you could put him here. Other options, Wedge and Big's not really as strong, but if you're desperate. Then Iden, this is if you don't have Dark Trooper Moff Gideon, you want to give her the defense to offense Kron and give her Stormtrooper, Scout for sure. A Death Trooper is pretty much a shoo-in, and then Short Trooper is a nice good tank too. Maybe you don't need 2 tanks, but Short Trooper is pretty solid with that crit immunity, so I prefer her. Another option is Magma Trooper. And then down to the end. Not too many people have a full Tarful team up and running. It's only really valuable if you have really high relics and you commit good Wookiees to it, like OG Chewbacca or 3PO and Chewie. Otherwise, not super worth it. So that's why I have not poured more resources into it. The only have to have is Zalbar. I think it's easy Bad Batch counter, but you can set it if you want. And then Ewoks, need them all in relics, need the Datacron, and you need a perfect setup for it to be like worth it. Otherwise, Imperial Troopers steamroll Ewoks. So you want Nisa Kron, you want stacking offense level 6, and then buffs level 3. And it is pretty annoying. If you have if someone has a revive prevention, that helps take it out. But it's pretty annoying. But you really need Nisa DC, you need Zetas, and I haven't poured that much into it, so I probably won't use that. And then last one, and definitely least, probably is Sauna Team. I never use this. This is basically filler at this point. You can invest a lot more and maybe have better luck, like Hondo, but Bad Batch crushes this. I don't know. Rebel DC with damage reduction might help you, but Sauna's not a Rebel, so she's vulnerable. It's not a highly recommended team, but I just include it for completion's sake. And that is all the defensive squads we're talking about. And now we come to the last segment and our second largest contingent. It is the flex teams. These are teams you could use either on offense or defense, just depending on your specific approach, scouting the opponent, things like that. Some might lean one way or another, and I'll try to cover that. So first we have JMK. I think you pretty much definitely want a no revive Datacron because Kat is a scoundrel and she can permakill someone. That really helps if you come across like Inquisitors or Inquisitors with Lord Vader or a Jabba team. They still set it just really strong. If you put it on defense, no revive helps prevent a Jabba counter, although that might still work anyway. But she'll permakill Chrysanthemum, and revives are more ubiquitous now than ever before, so that's pretty valuable. Probably definitely want GK, Ahsoka, and Padme there just for extra survivability. Mace you could put somewhere else. Mace, I mean, could work here too, maybe instead of Padme. Just depends on your plans. And then Leia, let's see what we get when we take out Drogon. I've yet to test this myself, but if you're not using C-3PO with Luke, maybe you just slot him into Leia and make it work. R2 still hits really hard. You might need more offense on this, but I'm just showing this squad to just showcase you can experiment a lot. I mean, Leia hits really hard. R2 is going to ramp damage. You could go Toxic Leia, but I think if you're bringing it on offense, not really worth it. I will say Baze and Old Ben are fantastic. I know when you have Drogon. If you don't, maybe you're just lacking a little bit too much offense. But it just depends what you're actually targeting with it. So just think on the fly with that. But it is vulnerable to Jabba, so maybe not defense. And then Lord Vader, this is probably the most solid team you could have. Piet and Thrawn maybe could be interchangeable, but Royal Guard is a great tank there. This can also kill Jabba if you don't have Afra, which a lot of people won't and might have Lord Vader. You just start out with the first special to buff immunity on Chrysanthemum, take it off with Maul, and then when Maul gets his other turn, takes out Boushh. But otherwise, pretty strong team either way. If you want to put it on defense, you could put Ninth Sister instead of Darth Vader or something, just have an Ufu for stacking defense. But I feel like Lord Vader is going to move more and more towards offense the more counters that come out. Such as Bo-Katan. And this is for a chosen few. The only real decision here is Bo-Katan or Armor people we're talking about. I think Bo-Katan's way better because of her unique. You get so much protection, 100% extra protection, and then tons of health and protection recovery for attacks that return, which happen a lot. So it's she's a pretty amazing sub-in, and then you still have your babysitter unit. so much better. But only like 460 players unlock Bo, which is like really low for these newer characters. And that's because they cost so dang much to get those marquees for the first unlock. And by the way, I think the reason they had her be an epic confrontation as opposed to a legacy event is because they could make the event go away. Like Afra and Starkiller, which came out around the same time Bo did, end of the year, they're legacy events and they stick around forever. They kept the 4 character requirement format, but made an epic confrontation, took the event away. So hoping people would panic farm, and they didn't really. So I think that's kind of funny. Then next we got the Seer team, and Malicos, Fulcrum, Kestis, and Kylo Unmasked I think is the best team. You don't have Kylo Unmasked. Training Ray, maybe? I don't know, but this is probably the best team. Can dominate a Ray team just when Malicos starts going off. Probably what stacking defense is the absolute best one. Gets them really tanky after 40 buffs or debuffs combined across the whole team. So it's really quick. Yeah, it's just magical. I mean, you can put it on defense too. It's really strong, but killing Ray might be worth it to take it on offense, and it definitely was for me last season. Next, Reva. I'd probably lean more towards offense because Phoenix can handle it so easily, handle them, even without like a specific datacron. And they do have Rebel datacrons available to them, so keep that in mind too. So you might want to keep this on offense. Good against Jedi, Galactic Legends, and a host of other non-Galactic Legends teams. Going to be really handy to have on offense. And then Flex is just the normal CLS team. You could set it on defense like this, or bring it on offense if you just use a normal C-3PO. Probably stronger on defense with Drogon, but it is a classic. Can't really go wrong with that. And then Gas 501st. Not really sure where they'll fall. We don't have damage reduction for Gas anymore, as we did last 5v5 season, even though it seems like a long time since that datacron set was active. I no longer have confidence in it against Malicos. I think last season I sold it as a Malicos counter. Definitely not. I tried it, learned the hard way, and it was painful. So offense might be good for it. Defense also might be good for it. I mean, it's vulnerable to like CLS, Sith Eternal Emperor solo, but there's worse teams you could set on defense. And then on offense, that complete blanket revive prevention is always going to be valuable. Next up, we got Starkiller. This move to flex, I would prefer it on defense, honestly. Stacking defense or riposte. Riposte is only really helping out Starkiller, but stacking defense does make it really annoying. Stacking defense helps Mara Jade, Starkiller, and Visas. That really is good because Visas is the one you want to stay alive to be able to revive people. So if you have her Datacron, that's absolutely the best one to use. I have Old Ben here, but you could use any Jedi tank like Juhani, Plo Koon even, Mace Windu. Plenty of options there. Mace Windu might be a compelling argument for Mace if you don't need him with Cal, but who knows. Then Malgus, this is the first time I moved him from defense to flex. More and more people have Cal Kestis now, makes it a much easier counter to this team, and it's a strong team. You can beat a lot of stuff on offense. I think you can kill Malicos with it. You can kill Reva. It's just a super solid team. I still think it is valuable to put on defense if you play it right, but offense is also an option too. And then moving on to like second-rate teams, we got General Grievous with Newt. Newt, I don't know. I don't know. It is kind of vulnerable to Bad Batch. If you want to put it on defense, probably BB-8. It's the 5th. The Wampa might take it out. On offense, they can, if you like set it up right, if you waste cooldowns on a JML team, like send in a burner team, get them to use their good cooldown, good abilities, you can bring in General Grievous and maybe steamroll a JML team, but you won't see those too much on defense. It can be a Starkiller team, although I don't know if the stacking defense puts a stop to that. But yeah, either offense or defense there. Dash with Vandor and the Omicron can take out more stuff on offense. Hondo's nice there. On defense especially, there's just kind of Vandor in place of Nest. I don't have too much to say about it because I don't have this team up and running, not with the Omicron or Vandor in Relics, but some people use it. And then Night Sisters, maybe just be an offensive only team. I mean, on defense, Imperial Troopers can beat it pretty well. Bad Batch can beat it, I think. Bounty Hunters for sure can curb stomp it, so it might not be the best on defense. But if you play it right, maybe you can draw some stuff out. And then these are some contingencies if you don't have JMK. Padme with Cat. That's assuming you have Cat. It's a pretty good team on offense or defense. Offense, you can beat a JMK without Cat. With a Padme without Cat. With Cat. If that came out right. And then Keller and Bag. This is mainly for newer, for whale players. I think he's pretty much better than Qui-Gon Lead at this point. I could be wrong, but I am excited to get him when I get the chance. I just don't have him for now. I look forward to that day he's farmable. And load him up with as much protection as you can. Tassinix on the podcast, on the Council podcast a couple of days ago, he's ranked number 2 right now. He said he has R9 Keller and Back with insane protection, and that's pretty scary. But anyway, that is it for defensive squads. Let me know if I missed anything. So that's it for this one, guys. I hope at the very least this helped jog your memory and get you in a good position for this upcoming season. But I'm looking forward to it. I hope you are as well. Let me know if I missed anything down below. Helps me for the next season when I'm brainstorming these sessions. But anyway, don't forget to like, sub, all that good stuff. Really helps me out. And I will see you guys later.